Welcome to the Houston Southeast YouTube channel. The district is excited to partner with Filet Inc., a Houston Southeast business, in supporting your efforts as you seek federal, state, and local funding for your business. Visit houstonse.org to learn more about the Business Retention Stabilization Initiative. This is your district at work.
Hi guys, Natasha Martinez here. I know you guys have heard that we are getting really close to the deadline for your PPP forgiveness application. These lenders are going to be looking for you to turn this stuff in as soon as possible. The important thing to understand is these funds that you received are actually a loan until you actually get them forgiven. So this application is very important. I'm going to start with the 3508S, which is the latest application, which allows you to get a total $50,000 or less forgiven. That means that if you've collected or received funds of $50,000 or less for your PPP, you can actually get those monies completely forgiven if you qualify via answering all of the questions that are listed in the application. Let's get started. So I always like to go in and kind of review the instructions for the application. And I'm going to read just the first paragraph on the actual instructions. And it says, you, the borrower, can apply for forgiveness for your Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, loan using this SBA Form 3508S. Only if the total PPP loan amount you received from your lender was $50,000 or less. However, a borrower that together with its affiliates regarding applications of SBA affiliate rules and the exemption of otherwise qualified faith-based organizations from SBA's affiliation rules receive PPP loans totaling $2 million or more cannot use this form. What that means is if you have multiple companies or you affiliated with other companies, and it could be a nonprofit, and together you put all the funds together and you actually receive $2 million or more, you cannot fill this document out. Okay, it doesn't matter that one company inside of your group had less than 50,000. Okay. If you are not eligible to use this form, you must apply for forgiveness of your PPP loan using SBA Form 3508 or 3508EZ or the lender's equivalent form. So what that is saying is you can either use those two additional forms for anything that does not fit on this form. So if you have over 50,000, you want to go to one of those forms. There's also a possibility that your lender will create their own form that kind of correlates with this particular form, and that's going to be used, that can be used as well. Okay, so the instructions kind of go over and explain some of the things that will go on this application. So I always say go ahead and grab that and have it in front of you, kind of read over it. But the application for this particular 50,000 or less is pretty simple. Okay, first thing it's going to ask you for is your legal name. We're going to use Wally World LLC. And over here it says DBA or trade name. Notice it says if applicable. So if you don't have an assumed name or you don't have another name that you use that's different from your business name, then this will be blank. Then we have your business address. I would suggest you try to stick to the address that you used on your actual application so that you have no issues with that. And we're gonna rep Houston, Texas. So this area is for your business TIN, which means tax identification number, EIN, which means employer identification number, or SSN, which means social security number. Okay. That's a 9-digit number no matter what we do. Okay, phone number, we're going to use my phone number. Y'all want my phone number? Y'all welcome to have it. Primary contact. So this is the person who, and again, I would probably stick to the person who filled out the original paperwork. That's the person you want to make sure they're able to be contacted. So we're gonna say that is Mr. Joe Jack. Then they want a good email address. Again, I would stick to some of the things I used in the beginning. So we're gonna say Joe Jack at WileyWorld.com. Okay, then we get down to the SBA PPP loan number. Now, the loan number was provided based on different numbers that the bank and the SBA agreed on. If you notice, you'll have lender PPP loan number, which could possibly be the same number. In our case, we're going to say that that's the same number. Now, I know my number was, let me tell you how many numbers. Mine was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm having 10 digits. Not sure if that was something that was etched in stone, but you might want to check that out. And I'm going to say that the lender just said, hey, I'm going to use the same number just to keep this thing clean. Okay, your PPP loan amount. This is the amount that you actually received for your PPP. Okay, so this exercise, we're going to say $20,000. And then this is the date that the loan was dispersed. So it says PPP loan disbursement date. You can always go back in your bank account and grab these dates if you need it. It says employees at the time of the loan application. Now, of course, this could be 1, it could be 10. But remember, this is for loans that were under $50,000. So in our case, we're going to say that it was only 1 employee at the time of the loan application, and we're going to say there was only 1 at the time of the forgiveness of the application. Now, the EIDL. The EIDL was another set of funds that were provided to help and assist small business owners during this pandemic. And what the EIDL loan did was the SBA said, hey, we're going to see if you qualify for some funds to stay afloat. In the meantime, we're going to shoot you a couple of dollars and you hold on to that until we get this application processed. Basically, you had an opportunity to receive up to $10,000. I don't know how it got confused and people thought they received 10, but it was up to 10. And what they did was they gave you $1,000 per employee that you had. In this case, Mr. Joe Jack only has himself on his application. He's a sole member LLC, so he only received $1,000. But let's just say Mr. Joe Jack had 3 employees. If he qualified when he sent off the information for the EIDL, he would have received $3,000. So of course, they're always going to want us to keep track of this. This EIDL advanced money, these were actual loans that took place. They had nothing to do with forgiveness. They can't be forgiven. This is the economic disaster loan. Okay, in Mr. Joe Jack's case, he received $1,000. And everybody who received those funds received an account number. Application number. All the loans that I saw, the application number started with 3, sorry. And so I'm gonna stick to that because that's what I know for sure on my side. Now, forgiveness amount. Well, we were told that this would allow us to forgive $50,000 automatically. So if we receive 20, we should be able to forgive 20. Okay, and that's basically most of what we need to actually fill in. That's how easy this particular application is. Now, it's very important to read below. By signing below, you make the following representations and certifications on behalf of the borrower. The authorized representative of the borrower certifies to all of the below by initialing next to each one. Okay? Let's get into it. Has to be an initial next to each one of these items in order for you to qualify for this forgiveness. So it's very important that you read these carefully and make sure you truly do qualify for forgiveness. The dollar amount of which forgiveness is requested does not exceed the principal amount of the Ppp loan amount. Okay, then it goes down and it starts breaking down. And it's saying the loan was used to pay costs that are eligible for forgiveness. Inside of that is payroll costs to retain employees, it's business mortgage interest payments, it's business rent, it's lease payments, or business utility payments. Now, when it says employees, that also includes individuals who are not on payroll but that own the company. So like you're a sole proprietor or you're a sole member LLC, you are considered the one employee that they're talking about. So when it says retain employees, it is talking about you. If a 24-week covered period applies, does not exceed 2.5 months worth of 2019 compensation for any owner, employee, or self-employed individual / general partner, capped at $20,833 per individual. Okay, what this is basically saying is in this 24-week period that this loan did not exceed 2.5 months. In order to not exceed 2.5 months of pay for an individual, for instance, it tapped out and maxed out at $20,833. So if you took the calculation and you made a calculation, you'll find that you should not exceed that number in the time frame of the 2.5 months of which this was given. So if you actually receive these funds, you should have capped off at that $20,833. Okay. The second option is if the borrower has elected an 8-week covered period, does not exceed 8 weeks worth of 2019 compensation for any owner - employee or self-employed individual / general partner, capped off at $15,385 per individual. So if you go with that time frame, you should have capped off at 15. You go with the 8 weeks. So fitting these items and initialing on this box would actually be stating that you agree that you fit in line with this particular concept. Now, they will not take the actual you typing in your initials, but I have seen some applications get accepted that were actually DocuSigned. Okay, so you may be able to fill the information in and then send it to you yourself and be able to sign or initial these particular boxes, but it can't just be typed in. If it is, it has to have something that shows that it actually was a digital signature or initial type document. Okay, next, I understand that if the funds were knowingly used for unauthorized purposes, the federal government may pursue recovery of the loan amounts and/or civil or criminal fraud charges. Well, you guys have heard about all this fraud going on, so you want to make sure you're clear of that. The borrower has accurately verified the payments for the eligible payroll and non-payroll costs for which the borrower is requesting forgiveness, and has accurately calculated the forgiveness amount requested. So even though this form is not requesting the calculation, they still expect you to have done your calculations to make sure that you actually qualify. I have submitted to the lender the required documentation verifying payroll costs, the existence of obligations and services as applicable prior to February 15, 2020, and eligible business mortgage interest payments business rent or lease payments, and business utility payments. Again, though this application is not requesting the information has to be turned over to the lender. Okay, the information provided in the application and the information provided in all supporting documents and forms is true and correct in all material aspects. I understand that knowingly making a false statement to obtain forgiveness of the SBA guaranteed loan is punishable under the law, including, and you guys can go ahead and read those little certs, by imprisonment of not more than 5 years and or a fine of up to $250,000 under another cert, by imprisonment of not more than 2 years and or a fine of more than $5,000. And if submitted to the federally insured institution under another cert, by imprisonment of not more than 30 years and or a fine of not more than $1 million. Now, this is saying that make sure this information you turn in is correct and accurate. It is not worth your freedom. Read this information. If it just so happens you don't fit in some of these categories, pay them people that loan money back. It is not worth your life. Next, the tax documents I have submitted to the lender are consistent with those the borrower has submitted or will submit to the IRS and or state tax or workforce agencies. I also understand and acknowledge and agree that the lender can share the tax information with SBA's authorized representatives, including authorized representatives of the SBA office and Inspector General, for the purpose of ensuring compliance with PPP requirements and all SBA reviews. So I do know that there have been people and words out there of people who received these funds and probably should not have, okay? At the end of the day, these documents have to match up, and at any point, the SBA can talk to the federal government, can talk to anyone on your behalf to make sure that these things actually are consistent and accurate. So be sure that your paperwork is in place and you file your taxes properly to accommodate these funds. Last but not least, I understand, acknowledge, and agree that the SBA may request additional information for the purposes of evaluating the borrower's eligibility for the PPP loan and for loan forgiveness, that the borrower's failure to provide information requests by SBA may result in the determination that the borrower was ineligible for the PPP loan or a denial of the borrower's loan forgiveness application. Okay, so it's basically saying at any point they can come and ask you for some more documents and you got to be able to submit them and they better match up. That's what that is saying. Borrower's eligibility for the loan forgiveness will be evaluated in accordance with the PPP regulations and guidance issued by SBA through the date of this application. SBA may direct a lender to disapprove the borrower's loan forgiveness application if SBA determines that the borrower was ineligible for the PPP loan. So basically, if it turns out that your beginning wasn't right, you weren't even supposed to get these funds, and you end up trying to get them forgiven, there's a great big possibility that they can say, hey, no ma'am, no sir, you gonna owe these funds. So you don't have all your paperwork prepared, just be ready to pay the loan back. That's the worst case scenario. You're gonna owe the money back to the lender who gave you the loan. And then we sign and we date and we put our title on here and we're done. Now, come back and check out our other video where we talk about how to fill out 3508EZ. Thank you.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel.